Almost every Monday, I actually post upcoming mods because it's a fairly simple series to record. I don't actually have to record a ton of A-roll or background footage, which is very timely and, just takes a while. And typically on Saturday, Sunday, or even Friday, I like to produce something that's a little bit higher quality, maybe a little bit more of a unique video than the other days of the week because it's the weekend and there's more viewers, and it's just the best way to really maximize that audience on those days. In addition, I also have the most class on Mondays, so we are back with more upcoming mods. That's why you always see it on Mondays, or you do so often, and yeah, with that, we'll just jump into it. Start things off, we're actually going to be looking at a new overhaul mod coming to not Fallout 4, but Fallout New Vegas. This has been a work in progress for quite a while, but it hasn't gotten a ton of attention. I actually was only alerted to it by a Reddit post in the end. And the reason it hasn't gotten a ton of attention is it's actually Russian made. There's a bunch of Russian mod developers behind it. Despite a lot of the details being in English, I imagine they translate that or maybe just have dual fluency. Either way, with this project, the way of the chosen is going to be an attempt at recreating Fallout 2 in Fallout New Vegas. Again, they have completed quite a bit. They actually have way more stuff going on their ModDB page, but they also have a Facebook and a page on another Russian social media site. And hopefully from the background, you could actually tell that they have completed a lot, but at the same time, they are a very small team and could definitely use some help in that. Specifically, it does mention they are looking for a level designer, a script designer, a 3D modeler, and a texture artist. So you have any of those talents, or maybe you just want to give it a shot and actually help some of these guys out, I do have a link to them down below. Hopefully a lot of the images speak for themselves. I know I'm not giving a ton of details as to the project itself, but if you play through Fallout 2, it should hopefully be pretty self-explanatory. So it just has some miscellaneous things from 500 SLR. I'm actually working on a Westworld video that'll hopefully be out tomorrow, and I feel like he may be inspired by the recent premiere of Westworld because a lot of the work in progress mods he does have coming are from that series. I just wanted to draw some attention to these. They do look pretty cool, especially this actual test texture as it's labeled, but regardless, it's going to be one of the different pieces of equipment from Westworld, something that we actually don't have a ton of in Fallout 4. We obviously do have some revolvers, but we don't have a ton of revolvers that are in this style that you see so often in some of those Western shows or movies like Westworld. Speaking of, we have one that's almost identical being textured by dpillari. This is a mod author or a texture artist that I've been featuring quite a bit on this series in the past few weeks and months. He's been producing like a stupid amount of content lately, and almost all of it looks really high quality. I'm not actually sure if the two are working together or they're just working on two very similar things, but I figured it'd be a nice little transition. But dpillari is actually also working on a 20mm Vulcan that looks very cool and very just like stupid fun. Like, sometimes in Fallout 4 or maybe even other video games, when you just get a piece of equipment or you're just doing things and you're just like blowing stuff up, shooting people down, and it's just fun. There's no real point to it. Like one of those moments in video games when you're like, well, maybe video games actually do make me kind of violent. Either way, it looks really cool. This is something that we don't have a ton of in Fallout 4. One of the only packs of LMGs or HMGs really are going to be by Skibida, and it's pretty old now, still high quality, but I'm always happy to see more in that category. Then we do have a work in progress DSR 50. So as you could probably tell, this is going to be a sniper R that someone is working on putting in game, and it looks pretty cool. This is going to be one of those snipers that has a pretty interesting aesthetic behind it. It almost looks like modern or a little bit futuristic, even though it is something that obviously exists in today's world. It looks distinctively different than something like a Barrett M82. And in my eyes, these look a little bit more futuristic, again, even though they do exist today. It's something that we've seen a few times in Fallout 4. There's definitely been a few mods filling out this category, but I really do love equipment like this. I think it's just fun to use in Fallout 4, especially when on survival mode. Being able to just one-tap people has always been satisfying to me, and having more ways to do that is always something I'm looking forward to. So this one's pretty much different than everything else I've shown you so far, but I really like the look of this one. It's going to be called the Tactical Thompson. It more or less is going to be a remodel or a recreation of the Thompson or Tommy gun we do have in Fallout 4. This, of course, being a tactical variant, and I really like when mods do this. It's something we actually saw with the MP40 mod that we got, I think, over a year ago now. And more or less, there was the traditional MP40 that you know and love from your World War II games, but then there was also a tactical version, and I just think it was interesting. It had a little bit more of a modern aesthetic on it, as well as you obviously can put on way more attachments and make it tactical if you wanted. And getting that with the Thompson, which is one of my personal favorite pieces of equipment in real life. I think in Fallout 4 it's pretty garbage. I'm always excited for it, and I do hope we get some more updates and details on this going forward. Then we also do have the Pump Action Combat S Replacer. This is pretty cool. It seems like this is going to be a replacer for the Combat S in Fallout 4. This one, of course, being a pump action, something that doesn't appear at all in vanilla Fallout 4. Just as a side note, there's actually an animator requested on this image, so if you do know how to do animations and you want to help this guy out, there of course will be a link to this down below. This looks very similar to the vanilla combat S we do have in vanilla Fallout 4. Although it is obviously distinctively different, I just think it's some of the details and the individual aspects like the slide and things like that that do share an overlap. Either way, I think it looks pretty interesting. I would much prefer this over the vanilla Combat S, considering how similar it looks to the Combat R. So hopefully we actually do see it get animated and get it in game. This is going to be another one of those mods that I actually featured in my 8 or 10 mods that never got released for Fallout 4, this being the Plasma Defender. This appeared in some of the earlier Fallout games. It was actually a work in progress by a number of different people. There's, I think, 2 different versions of this being made, one by Flipdark, one by Bungo for Wasteland Overhaul back in the day. Obviously, neither of those came out. Progress has seemingly halted on both of them, but someone else is making an attempt at this, and it looks pretty cool. Equipment like this, I feel like, looks distinctively Fallout. Like, just looking at this, even in a different game, you'd think, oh, it's something that would appear in Fallout, and I like that. I feel like Fallout 4 really dropped the ball on some of these Fallout-ish weapons. We got way more kind of just weird things. Like the pipeline was cool, but it's so garbage that you just stop using it right away, and it appears so often that you get really tired of seeing it. The only things we really have in the vanilla game are like the laser line and the plasma line, and having a bit more variety in those categories I think is definitely welcome. Alright, so this is actually really cool. What this is more or less going to be is a mod that adds in a backpack, but also as you do holster your different pieces of equipment, whatever it may be, it will go onto your backpack. I really like this idea, and obviously from some of these images and of course these in-game screenshots, it looks really cool. I definitely like the vibe of this. It looks very natural. It looks like something that would work in Fallout 4 with many of the different outfits, and it just looks like something that makes a lot of sense to appear in the game. Everything we're seeing in these early images is very modern. I would love to actually see some of the vanilla pieces of equipment, or maybe again, as I was talking about before, some more Fallout-y things, not just modern military stuff. Either way, I really love the idea and concept behind this, and even some of the execution thus far I think looks cool. How the suppressor is detached from the barrel and actually in a separate holder on the backpack. That's just a cool little detail that I would love to see, and I feel like it makes it quite distinctive and different than some of the other backpack mods we have out right now. So a couple weeks ago, I actually showed you guys this image, and in that video, I had a little bit of, I guess, a call to action saying, I hope someone could actually make this into a real power armor mod. The author behind this image more or less basically said he could make this, but he didn't actually know how to make this into a power armor or power armor frame, but I thought the concept was awesome and I would love to see it. Well, as you could hopefully guess, we actually do have someone working on this as a power armor. He named it the RD power armor, and it looks really cool. This work in progress image obviously is a work in progress image. It's not in game or anything like that, but the concept and the vibe this is giving off is something I would love to get in my Fallout 4. I could definitely see myself using this. I could actually see this being awesome implemented into the level list of raiders and having raiders walk around and things like this. I think it would fit their faction really well and actually go along with some of their other armor types that already appear in Fallout 4. Either way, awesome work by this guy. I'm excited, and I will stay tuned for more updates on this and make sure to keep all of you updated, because hopefully you're as excited for this as I am. I've been showing you guys updates and spots of Fallout Miami for a very long time, but now we actually have a teaser trailer for the mod. I don't want to give away too much about this. I'm just showing you miscellaneous images and then a little footage from the trailer. I'm going to show you a snippet of it. It's extremely well made, so I will have a link at the end of this video or in the description down below if you're in a rush to get out of here to that full trailer so you can check it out. Either way, here's a snippet of that trailer. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video, but of course, before we end things off, I'm actually going to have today's psych fun fact of the day, and today we're going to be looking at a article in particular, and just one, I was kind of looking for something that is relevant to video games, but also something that's shareable as a fact. I'll have a link to this article down below on PubMed, but more or less, there was a study into how playing certain types of video games, so ones that are either kind of positive where you help others, versus ones that are a little bit more negative where there's a lot more violence and, you know, the things that go along with violent video games, and the effect that had on someone's humanity or kind of outlook on society and humanity as a whole. So what this article found was, and it's kind of self-explanatory, that playing positive, or as the article describes it, as pro-social video games where the goal is to help and care for other in-game characters, actually led to people having a more positive outlook on their humanity. In a way saying that you saw more good in the world, you saw more positive traits from other people around you as well as in yourself. And then for people that played a lot of violent video games, which is probably most of us, it actually led to the exact opposite of that, and actually seeing more negative in the world, seeing more negative within yourself. Oddly enough, I feel like this actually is almost intuitive. If you look at people that play a lot of video games or people that are very tech oriented, and typically there's a big overlap in those two groups, I feel like these are individuals that largely tend to be kind of realist, if you will, or maybe even pessimist in some ways. I don't think gamers are described as a super hopeful group of people. I would say they're probably more of a realistic group of people, which somewhat coincides with the results of this study. I just thought it'd be really interesting. Again, I'll have it linked down below if you guys do want to read it on PubMed. You can of course find it if you're like a student or somewhere else at your local library or your school's library if you want to see it there. But yeah, with that being said, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. As always, I thank you guys for watching. If you want to support the channel further, you actually can subscribe. I actually found out recently that I have a lot of people that watch my videos regularly that don't subscribe. So hey, if you want to subscribe, that'd be cool too. But otherwise, that's it. I thank you for watching again, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.